You have the right to remain silent.
He's still alive.
Forever. Again.
Robert Z'Dar. Wow, now that's a guy with a face. You could land a plane on that face. That's a face with its own zip code. Robert Z'Dar, you might know him from such films as Tango and Cash, where his character was named Face. You might know him from the Maniac cop series. He's a big gentleman. He's a big, wide, hulking gentleman. Big jaw notwithstanding. The man had a condition that was called cherubism, where I don't know how it works exactly. His jaw specifically seems to grow twice as fast as the rest of him. So you see, as Robert Z'Dar, as he gets older, as he looks fairly sort of, I don't, normal is maybe not the nicest word, but he looks sort of like the Chad meme. As a younger gentleman, he looks a little bit like the Chad meme, and then as he gets older, you see, again, the jaw just grows twice as fast as everything else. Of course, with a face and a physique like Mr. Z'Dar here, you're going to play a lot of villains, and the guy certainly had a certain intensity. He lived a very eclectic life. I was reading his Wikipedia. At one point, he was a Chicago police officer. At one point, he had written jingles for commercials. At one point, he was a Chippendales dancer. Z'Dar is short for Zdarsky, a Lithuanian gentleman, and I could see it. I could see the Lithuanian there, Charles Bronson, another famous Hollywood Lithuanian. Upton Sinclair, The Jungle, a book about Lithuanian immigrants. Those are the two things that I know about Lithuania the three things now with Robert Z'Dar. So Charles Bronson, Robert Z'Dar, and Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. Those are the three things that I know about Lithuanians. A good book until the last about 50 pages, where it just sort of becomes an unhinged monologue about communism, but I digress. You could really see the Lithuanian in his eyes as he got older. Very soulful eyes. Obviously, the lower portion of the face is what your eyes are going to be immediately drawn to, but his jaw belies a soulful pair of eyes. What is he thinking about? What is Robert Z'Dar thinking about behind those eyes? He looks like he chews on tin cans. He looks like he can chew on, he's like a tiger shark. He looks like he chews on license plates, but what is he really thinking about? Again, a very sort of jack of all trades, a raconteur, if you will. He must have some sort of musical ability to have moonlighted as a writer of commercial jingles. So maybe behind those eyes, he's thinking of musical compositions. Maybe he's walking through the grocery store and he's thinking of little jingles for all the products he sees upon the shelf. A smart advertising executive, they would have snatched him up for shaving commercials. He should have done commercials, something to do with the shaving razors or shaving cream. He could say, "Hi, I'm Robert Z'Dar. My jaw is humongous." And when you've got a lot of area to cover like I do, when you've got a lot of jaw to shave, you want Gillette foaming gel. So it's unfortunate that never happened. The gentleman died in 2015, passed away from some heart issues, and that's a shame, because I would have liked to have seen Mr. Z'Dar in more movies, doing what Robert Z'Dar does. Having a giant face in Maniac Cop. He doesn't say much, but he is certainly an imposing presence. He does cut a distinctive silhouette. The Maniac Cop films, an interesting premise, but not quite executed to their fullest potential. The first one is great, mostly because in addition to Robert Z'Dar, you've got Bruce Campbell and Tom Atkinson. You have some horror staples. And then in part two, spoilers, Bruce Campbell dies like 15 minutes in, and then and then the film kind of takes a downturn after that. I think part 3 is actually better than part 2. Part 3, also part 2, they both have Robert Davi, who I was looking at his IMDb credits here. He's the guy who directed the Hunter Biden movie. He directed the movie My Son Hunter, so that's an interesting connection there. But I think I got more out of part 3 of Maniac Cop than part 2. It's just sort of an interesting concept that's not really, it doesn't really rise to its full potential, I don't think. Still a really fun watch, though. Certainly a fun romp. And that's in large part to the great Robert Z'Dar. Nice hair, I guess. As a Lithuanian gentleman, he has darker, thicker hair. I see a screenshot of him here with a beard, and it's like, you can't hide that thing. Who are you trying to fool? You can't hide that thing under that beard. You know, most guys, they grow a beard to hide the fact that they have no chin. Robert Z'Dar has such a huge chin that his beard cannot hide it. Mewing. You got all these guys mewing, sticking their teeth in weird positions and fucking up their jaws. You best believe that Robert Z'Dar didn't have to do any of that stuff. Robert Z'Dar, one of the great sort of Hollywood heavies. He's up there with I'm blanking on his name, the guy who played Lockjaw. Was it Richard Kiel? Richard Kiel, I believe, was his name. He's up there with Richard Kiel as one of those great sort of Hollywood heavies. You might not know where you know him from because he's been in so many gosh darn things, but I'm sure you've seen Robert Z'Dar menacing someone at some point on the silver screen. Just a very unique face. You know, they don't make faces like this anymore. They don't make faces like this in Hollywood. Nowadays, you know, the next Robert Z'Dar has probably cut his face so that he does not suffer from this condition. And that's a real shame. That's a real shame that we are cutting up the future Robert Z'Dars of cinema. Anyway, this has been The Face Review. Robert Z'Dar. Terrific. Fantastic. A fantastic face. Okay, goodbye.